So Ray, being a travelling marshal, I suppose the racing for many years, and here in Skerries you would have done a lot. What are your memories of the racing here in Skerries?
Well, I have lots of memories of racing in Skerries. The highlight for me over the years would have been the 50th Skerries 100. That was when the club decided to run what they call a festival of speed for the week.
Right, okay.
And it had a lot of different aspects to it. They had classic parade, they had classic bikes on show, they had talk shows, quiz shows, even dancing in the streets. We had Irish dancing up on the main street.
It's like a festival.
Yeah, and that brought us then into the end of the week. Then the Friday and Saturday was the racing. The racing was brilliant. The weather was like it is today, perfect. But two of the things that happened actually that's stuck in my mind. One of them was one of the travelling marshals. In those days we carried our radios on our belt, and one of them lost our radio on this high-speed trip around the circuit, and he came back and he was a bit embarrassed, and he said to me, could you put out a call on the radio asking where my radio is? And I did that, and straight away a message came back, oh yes, we know where that radio is. It's at flag post 8 and 9 and 10 and bits of it at 11 too. And so what they did was we went out and we gathered it up, and the funny thing was we put it all back together again at work. The other thing,
you don't build them like that anymore.
the other follow-up on that, then in the paddock afterwards, some well-meaning person offered to sponsor us voice-activated mics, where the mics would be inside the helmets, with the suggestion that we kept the radios in bum bags so as they wouldn't keep losing them. And he said, what do you think of that? And I wasn't too sure how to answer that question, and eventually I had to confess, look, I don't really like that idea. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, to tell you the truth, I talk to my bike when I'm going around the circuit. And you know, if you hit a bump and it recovers, say, oh, good girl Betsy, you got over that all right. Or, you know, if you're running tight into a corner and you get a nice line, say, oh, you did well there, you did well there. And and I thought, he's going to think I'm nuts. And he turned to the other guys and he said, well, what anybody else think? And I said, well, actually, we have to confess, we all do the exact same thing. We talk to the bikes. And before he left, he said to me, just one more question before I go. Do you find that your bike talks to you? And I said, well, actually, that's sort of a bit of a personal discussion. I don't think I'll share that with you at all. So that's what I remember with the Skerries 50th.
So parking the bikes for a moment, Ray, you were busy throughout lockdown and you were doing something a little bit different that people might not necessarily have known. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
Well, as I said earlier on, most people would associate me with bikes and racing. But away from racing, I've been very much involved in overseas aid work and emergencies, and so I've had over a dozen postings. And so based on that, what I've been doing is I've been writing a book of my experiences. The book is called Mr. Ray Would Like a Monkey. And how that title came about, by the way, I just got the cover today. There's the cover. Which is, hopefully the book will come out now and be published in July. Right. And so what's I was going to tell you what's the story of the background.
The inspiration behind the title.
Yes. I was working in Mozambique and with this team building schools after the huge floods there. And one night we were in this little house, we were living out in the bush. I was living out in the bush with the team, and they spoke Portuguese, I spoke English obviously, and but sometimes a bit of things got lost in translation, so I had a translator, and there was an awful racket outside the house, and I said, oh, that sounds like a monkey. And the interpreter obviously misheard me and said, you'd like a monkey? And I said, no, it sounds like a monkey. And then all these other guys around were smiling and talking away in Portuguese, and all I could hear was Mr. Ray and a monkey. And I thought, right, they're just having a joke. And the next night there was a knock on the door, and this guy walked in with this pet monkey on a lead, and I said, what's this? And he says, you said you like a monkey, we've got you a monkey. So that's where the title comes from. But the stories in the book are of people I've met, different situations I've found myself in, and some of it's sad, but a lot of it's funny. It is funny in spots. So I hope, you know, when it goes out on sale now, that people will find it interesting.
Of course, yeah, and I suppose it's nice to give people that insight into, you know, I suppose the life away at those kind of posts, and as well as that, like the funny sides to it as well. It's not all sad, as you say, so hopefully a few tales in there as well.
Yes, yes.
And as well as that, you said that there is another book coming out soon. So where, I suppose, did the inspiration for this book come from?
Well, the working title on this is A Paramedic's Diary. I worked as a paramedic for many years, and at the beginning of the lockdown I read a book by a doctor called This Is Going to Hurt, and it was about cases of different people he met and strange cases, and I thought that was interesting. I've stories like that from patients I've met. So anyway, I started off and the book is nearly finished now. And I say the writing book is it's nearly finished, and I'm hoping if it becomes a bestseller I'll be able to sort of spend the money on buying another bike, so I've gone around the full circle.
Fingers crossed. Yes, well, when the book comes out, Ray, and when this book is published in July, I would love to do a follow-up interview and find out a little bit more, I suppose, in depth about your stories and your time away in Mozambique and the like. So again, thank you so much for contributing to the video, and hope everyone enjoyed.
Good, thank you. I wish I could shake hands with you at the moment.
I know, yeah, it's this, is that what we're doing?